Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mean Show. I'm so excited for our episode today. We're going to be talking to Gina Nowicki. I might be saying her name wrong, but I say it correctly in the actual interview. I just am failing to remember how she told me to pronounce it. But Gina was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, spent most of her 46 years in the East Bay, which is like Oakland, Berkeley, for those of you who are not familiar. In the fall of 2020, she moved with her husband, Sean, and their 9-year-old daughter, Grace, to, to Strasbourg, France, for the ultimate family adventure. She shares her new life on the website Gina in France, which I will link to in the show notes, of course. And she spends her days as a freelance marketing consultant who speaks terrible French, she claims. I bet it's better now because it's been a little while since we spoke. But I love this story because Gina, in her late-ish 40s, just up and moved her family to France because they wanted an adventure. They just saw the opportunity for various reasons that we discuss in the interview. And so they just like up and did it. And they did it during COVID. And that had its own complications and adventures attached to it. So you don't want to miss that part of the conversation. I know Gina because she used to work for Crossroads Trading Company, and she was in the communications marketing department, and I was journalist writer at the time. And I mean, I'm still a journalist writer. Hopefully, I haven't been working much on that kind of thing, but I will be getting back to it. But I digress. Gina, I used to have a lot of meetings and interviews with Gina to talk about Crossroads Trading, what they were doing, about thrift fashion trends, vintage fashion trends, things like that. So Gina has always been one of my favorite people to work with, and so I was very excited to reconnect with her and talk about her adventure moving to France, which is just kind of like just a fantasy come true to me. It just sounds amazing. Without further ado, on to our interview with Gina. Gina, welcome to the Mean Show. Thank you so much for joining me from France.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, and I'm very flattered that you picked me to talk to you today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about what you're doing, and we were just talking a little bit about it. But so Gina and I know each other from days in the Bay Area. Gina was with Crossroads Trading Company, and we worked on stories together when she was there, and since then, she has made a huge change in her life and moved herself and her family to it's Strasbourg, right? Strasbourg,
That's
France.
correct.
And I am just like so like completely envious and excited about what you're doing. So maybe we could just start out by saying by talking about what motivated, what inspired this move in your life, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it was just in 2016 that my husband, who's also from the Bay Area, he said, I came across some interesting information on the internet today. I think I have like a right to Italian citizenship. And it was
Oh,
very exciting news. We'd never heard of this before. And there is a way to get your citizenship through your bloodline. And he qualified for it. And because he did, our daughter did also. The only hiccup was he
oh
had
wow.
inherited it through his grandmother a few years before women could pass their Italian citizenship along to their children. So we had to find a lawyer in Bologna who helped us with the process. And he argued this one case and won it over 500 times. And now I think over 1,000 times. But as a woman has the right now, so it should retroactively apply. And so we spent 2 years
Wow.
on that process. And in 2019, at the beginning of the year, he and my daughter have these EU passports. I think we didn't even believe it would really happen until they arrived. Like, this is a real thing. And my husband and I
Wow.
loved Europe, had traveled, here together, even before we were together. And, I think a lot of people have this curiosity, could I ever, move to be like? And all of a sudden it seemed allowable, right? It was the right to work here, to live in any of the EU countries. And then as a spouse, I'm so lucky to get these EU spouse rights. So that's kind of the setting for how it became like a real possibility for us. Um, the plan in 2020,
Wow.
as all 2020 plans changed, but we started the
Oh
year
my gosh.
thinking we were going to come visit in the summer and we were going to take a look at it through the eyes of could we live here? We're very lucky we have some friends who live here and who told us, if you're interested, come here, we'll help you. It's a huge plus. And then, of course, everything went off course. And it originally seemed like we're just going to have to put this off and think about this later. But oddly enough, 2020 ended up being this year where things were already derailed, and we were
Yeah.
all, and my daughter was home remote schooling, and my husband and I were working for remote, and it seemed like maybe we could actually lift out and try this. Um, and what originally started as this Google spreadsheet of what would we need to do to make it real turned into a lot of back and forth conversations with me thinking we could do it one day and my husband thinking we could do it one day, never being on the same page. But we finally hit a day and decided we were going to do it in 8 weeks. And the spreadsheet was ready. And we put the
Wow.
dates on it, and we were making the call to taking off. It was 8 weeks.
Oh my god. So, you were planning this during 2020. So did you have to find like a window where the COVID rates were lower?
It's so interesting you say that because it appeared in the summer like somehow Europe had beat it. I follow a lot of
Yeah.
Instagram accounts, and it was like they're having a regular summer there. Wow, their lockdowns really worked, and they seem to be ahead of time than where we were in the U.S. So I felt really positive about it. It wasn't until, I mean, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we were actually leaving that they started to have a spike here and things changed. Where some people were
Oh
asking, "Are
man.
you sure now is the time?" Because when we planned it, the window looked good. We expected more improvement, and then it kind of
Yeah.
took a turn because we it was October. We were going into the cooler months. So, but at that point, we were
Wow.
in. We had given notice on. I left my job, and we were getting rid of our home. So it was kind of a go, regardless of what was
Oh my
happening.
god. Did you sell a home or
No, we had lived in an amazing apartment there in Oakland for years, and we loved it.
Okay.
And we had rent control,
Okay.
and that was one of the big conversations. Is we have this
Mhm.
amazing apartment at an unbelievable Oakland rent that we loved, and we could have imagined being there as long as we wanted. And our daughter went to school across the street, and ultimately
Oh my
I
gosh.
think the most time sensitive thing was that my daughter was 9. She just turned 10. But because she had this dual citizenship, we we didn't want it to be abstract. We wanted her to know what it was like to live here, so that it was a real
Mhm.
possibility for her in her life, and potential to think of going to
Mm.
college here. And at 9 years old, you can still be picked up and your parents can take you somewhere. You're not going to kick and scream just yet. So it felt like we got to get in
Yeah.
at that right age. And she's fully trained in all
Right.
things United States. She is American. She can drop back in no problem. Um, and now she goes to French school here.
Right. 9 years old is a manageable age to move your child to a different place. Yeah. I mean, I'm finding that too. My Frida is 8 and she'll be 9 next month, so she's basically 9. Um But yeah, I was worried about moving her, but I think it's a pretty good age to do it.
Yeah, I agree. It was a huge consideration for us in so many ways. I think you're thinking about your kids more than yourself. I know I'm going to adapt. I'll figure it out. And she really, really surprised me at how resilient she was. I mean, that first day of school, so they were going in
Wow.
person here when she started in January, and that first day of school, walking, and there
Wow.
was snow here, so it was just a completely different experience. And
Wow.
I thought she was
Oh my.
so brave and just didn't complain one bit. And now her French is improving.
Wow.
She'll correct me. I don't speak French. I'm now just learning French, but she's going to help me.
Wow. She'll be your teacher. That's amazing. I mean, yeah, if you guys stay there, she won't even have an accent because I mean, I just judging by my husband moved to the United States from Iran when he was 10 and he has zero accent. He sounds more American than I do. He actually kind of has a New York accent.
Yeah, I'm so
But
excited for her because I
yeah,
would
oh
love
that's
the
amazing.
opportunity.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and this school in French?
This was an international school, and it does have an English program. So some of the day is in English, but most of it's in French. And it's a wonderful school. I mean, it's a public
Okay.
school here. They've given her a lot of support when a child is new and doesn't know the language at all. She has tutoring sessions during the day, and there's also a local university student that meets up with us on Saturdays to walk in the park and speak with her to practice. So she's getting a lot of attention with French.
That sounds amazing. That is wonderful. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, for you career-wise, you're sort of at the I mean, you had a great position I'm not sure if you had left Crossroads, is that correct? Or, I
Yes.
mean, before you moved, or did you leave Crossroads to move to
So,
France?
so I left Crossroads to move. I had been there for, gosh, 13 and a half years.
Oh, wow.
I was the director of communications and marketing,
Wow.
and just love, love Crossroads. Love the team. I mean, they will always be like family to me. I have so many friends there, and they were my very first client because I knew I was going to need to go freelance, especially since I don't speak the language, and supported me by doing that. And that was huge for me because I think I needed that first bit of self confidence, right? And I can do this. I can go out on my own. And so I do continue to work with them.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So that makes me want to ask more about is there any advice and you moved there in January, right? So you have
Yeah, mid
5 months under your belt now. So that's pretty significant.
yes. So we moved mid November is when we arrived in France. We had to go to Rome first
Oh,
because of the Italian citizenship and do our
okay.
quarantine there for 2 weeks, which is a little bit of torture when you're in Rome and you can't leave
Oh, okay.
your apartment for 2 weeks. So
Oh
yes,
god.
I know.
Hopefully you had a nice
Beautiful.
view at least.
Yes, we had beautiful windows. We were in a great neighborhood, so we could at least kind
Oh
of
good.
hang out the window and listen to all the people in the streets. But so we've been here for 6.5
Yeah.
months. I didn't start thinking
Okay.
too much about my career path until January. It was such a huge move. I'm like, let's just enjoy the holidays. January 1st, I'll figure it all out.
Yeah.
And it's a huge thing to leave to figure out, but I the way my brain works is it I can easily get overwhelmed. So I have to look at one piece at a time. There was leaving, wrapping everything up, getting it here. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to figure out what comes next. And so, yes, I have learned so much. First, I want to tell people if they have the opportunity to transfer with a company and are interested in moving abroad, that is just gold. Like, Do it. That is the best way
The
to
way to
do
do
it.
it. Okay.
That is, yes. I'm just like, if you're sitting on that, oh, pot of gold, you have to take it. Um, the what I've learned here is that there's a structure to it. Everybody went to school and then split off at some point, whether they went to a vocational school or on to university, and they just all kind of flowed into their professions and the companies here. So if you can transfer with a company, that's ideal. What worked best for me was to set up my own business, and and so that's what I did. And thanks to Crossroads, I have all kinds of marketing experience under my belt, everything from PR and copywriting and social media strategy. So I just decided on a few to focus on and started reaching out to my contacts. So I'm still working with US companies. Um, and
Okay.
that's what's worked for me so far.
Okay. Okay, great. And then what about your husband? Did he transfer with a company or is he doing something similar to what you're doing
So
as far
similar,
as
yeah.
like freelancing and working with American clients?
So similar to me. So he was teaching um, at DVC Diablo Valley College when we were there. He was teaching remote, so he was able to continue teaching remote with the move. But now he's
Mhm.
an educational consultant, so he's starting to work on some projects with French colleges. So helping them build like curriculum
Oh, wow.
for a, for students to improve their English here. So we're both freelancing, which is a little bit
That's amazing.
it's, it's crazy. So sometimes it feels pretty crazy. But the advantages is like the cost of living here
Yeah.
is significantly less. Um,
Uh-huh.
and we have, like I said, we have friends here who've helped us kind of navigate getting our paperwork in place and everything set up. So it's just one step at a time.
That's amazing. And so are your friends in Strasbourg?
They are, yes. So one is French. Now there is a
Oh,
friend
that's
who's
nice.
American. They had moved here together years ago. So um, yeah, they've already introduced us to people. And the nice thing about having your kids come with you is you begin to meet other parents through the friends that they make. So that's been another
Right.
way for us because you realize very quickly that, I mean, life is about people, right? Spending time with people. And the three of us, you know, me and Sean and Grace are wonderful. Um, but you want to have a weekend plan. You want to take a walk with somebody, and having that built-in community here has really meant a lot.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then so then once you got out of quarantine in Italy, um then you did had you I'm assuming you had already decided to move to live in Strasbourg rather than potentially Italy or another place. And I'm curious how you decided that you wanted to live in that town. I know you had the friends there, but were you tempted at all to try Italy or I'm curious about your decision making process.
Yeah, I think Italy's always on the mind. I love Italy so much,
Yeah,
but I think
me too.
I think I really needed. I think Sean and I both needed an anchor here since it was going to be just so different from the life
Mhm.
that we had. And something amazing happened
Yeah.
along with the planning, which was just great luck for us. Was that our friend had a friend who was leaving this apartment that we have now, and she had come from the United States years before,
Oh.
and the landlord's French, but she's like he really likes Americans and seems to like to help them out. So we were able to get the apartment before we were even here, and because we didn't have jobs lined up with companies here or anything, it was such a great opportunity. So we needed to jump on that, and that really solidified it for us.
Right.
It was
Oh, got it.
definitely
Wow.
it was definitely
That's so
complicated
exciting.
to travel during the travel ban
Yeah.
was complicated because we had to make sure we could even travel to Europe. The ban was in place. My husband's calling the consulate by the week. Are you sure they'll let us in? Right? We knew we couldn't
Oh
come into
my God.
France, but they had the Italian citizenship. They promised, this is your home. Just come home. Okay. So
Aw.
every step of the way, I mean, getting on the plane from SFO to New York, right? Going, okay, next step, right? It was like a game. Next step, okay, they're going to let us go to Rome, where we got
I'm
on a
sure. Yeah.
and despite what the Italian
I would have been
consulate,
so nervous.
it I look back at it and I'm like, I don't even know how I summoned the courage to do it, um, because it really was like a number of steps to get there, and even at the border in Rome, the border agent didn't seem convinced that we should be let in. He was arguing in Italian with his
Oh my
coworker,
God.
and I think the coworker just wanted to have lunch or take a break, and was just like, just let them go.
Wow.
But there was a moment of just holding our breath, going, "What if
So,
they say turn around, go back?"
I mean, I'm sure I would have been scared of that at like every moment. I'm sure you were too. Like it just you could have been like sent to a hotel in New York or I just whatever. Um so when you finally got through in Italy, did they like escort you to like did they make sure that you went to a hotel or a place to be quarantined?
That's such a funny question because that's what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be very strict. It was not. In fact,
Yeah.
we had we
Okay.
had gotten a private pickup, so we did know we needed to use private transportation. We weren't allowed to use anything public. But that was just on our system that we
Mhm.
did right once we left. So we did that, and
Okay,
then
wow.
but we did. I thought I was going to get a packet. I thought I was going to get a phone number or something, and instead we're searching on websites, going, okay, we want to follow every rule. What do we need to do? We end up calling, which is what is like their
Yeah.
911 number at one point, because we're like, just tell us what to do,
Oh my god.
and they said,
What do we do? Oh
yeah,
my
are we
god.
allowed to go buy food? Right? Can we buy groceries? Are we, And they
Yeah.
said, no, you can't leave. Just stay in there for 14 days. Um, Try to get through this number that was always busy. And yeah, so I was surprised it was
Oh my
more
god.
on an honor system. I really was expecting more formality to it.
Wow. And then, like, technically, were you allowed to, like, go outside and get food, or were you supposed to only have it ordered in, or what was the
It
rule?
it had to be ordered in. And so that was the second thing we did, was figure out,
Uh-huh.
okay, how do we get
That's
food
what I thought.
delivered? And fortunately, that's available there, right? So I don't know if that's here. It was. And so that's what we did next. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it was the election weeks. So if you have to be inside tied to the television,
Oh,
it was we were entertained.
that's not a bad you would probably be inside watching television anyway.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's just it, like it adds such a lot. I mean, it's so much to move your family to a different country where you don't speak the language, but then add a pandemic on top of it, and that just adds, like, so much more complication and, like, I don't know, just I'd be just an emotional or, like, just on the verge of being an emotional wreck, like, the whole time probably. So you're probably, like, pretty relieved once you got in that hotel room. And then you had to wait 14 days, and then you went to Strasbourg.
Yes. So we had gotten the Airbnb
Okay.
for longer, and thinking we would take the opportunity to really walk around. I mean, of course, so much is closed, but at least walk the
Mm,
streets. And then what ends up
mhm.
happening is the numbers continue to go up, and they're starting to lock down
Ugh.
regions. And
Oh god.
France was already locked down, but because we had a signed lease, we knew we were going to be well. We hoped we were going to be let in past the border. So we only spent maybe for 5 days. Um, once past our quarantine, because we had to see as much as we could, spend
Okay.
a day in each direction, and then said we should go, get there, get to our final destination. Because I really just needed the relief of like we're
Yeah.
in that apartment and we're there. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so, was the apartment sight unseen? Like, you obviously didn't get a chance to visit it first, so that was the first time you saw the apartment?
Yes, and I love it. Our friend did a wonderful job telling us that we should grab it. I really
Yeah.
trusted the woman who was in here before. She was so helpful. She would
Mhm.
do Zoom calls with us. She
Mm.
sent us lots of pictures.
Oh, that's
And
so nice.
yes, yes.
That's so
There were so
nice.
many lucky things along
Mhm.
the way for us. So yeah, I'm super pleased with it. It's very warm right now. I will tell you, it's a warm day here. We are on the top floor,
Oh, yeah.
so we have the slanted, kind of like we're in an attic, um, and yeah, it's
Yeah, it
gonna
looks
be warm,
cool.
but that's okay. There's a lot of windows and a lot of light, so I'm happy here.
Good. I'm thinking about that too for moving to Santa Rosa from Pacifica. It's gonna be an adjustment because it's gonna be warmer. I mean, I shouldn't even be talking about adjustment for myself. I'm not even leaving the same state, but but the climate will be different.
I mean, it's all a change because you've been in your
But,
home for years,
yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah, we've been here for 10 years and
anytime you pack up a home, it's emotional because you look at everything, you think about everything that happened there. I have this tradition of when it's empty
yeah.
and we're about to leave, I have to do like one final walkthrough and just kind of like a movie, like imagine all of the things that happened there. Um, so wherever you
Yeah, oh
go,
my god, you're making me emotional saying
I
that. Yeah,
don't want to make it sad.
that's a really good I'm totally gonna do that. No, it's just moving, it's like you think about all of that, all the experiences and everything because it was a happy home, and so it's good to remember all that stuff. And I'm gonna do that now when I
Do
I'm gonna
do
remember you, and I'm gonna do that.
And I remember when my parents moved
Yeah.
out of my childhood
Um
home, my father said something to me. Well, he asked me when we were packing like the last stuff. He said, "Are you sad? That you've gotten rid of the home and we're leaving?" And I said, "No, it's okay." And he agreed. He said, "Because home is wherever we all put ourselves, right? Wherever we pick up and go, as long as we're together, we'll make a new
Yes.
home." And I can tell
Yes.
you from having just done it that even if you pick yourself up and plop yourself in another country, you just make it your home. Things become familiar. You develop your habits. There's a man I walk past every day now when I go to pick up my daughter for lunch, and we always say a hello. There's just you just make your own habits and you start your new
Yeah.
life. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And it happens, quickly than you think, doesn't it? Like you get those. I mean, it can even happen when you're on vacation. Like I remember being on like a week-long vacation in the same place, and you kinda like you have your cafe and you have your favorite restaurant, like if you're in an Airbnb or something like that. So it can happen pretty fast.
You're absolutely right. I think we're creatures of habit, so we just look for a way to make it familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, even traveling, you're right. I unpack. I love to
Yes.
unpack so that it feels like, okay, where everything is, right?
Yeah.
This is our home away from home.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, you still have a great career, but in your position, you were at a high level. And I think a lot of people would be afraid to leave that and afraid of you know, what is that going to do to my career? And um, I'm just curious to hear more on your thoughts about just career, how it has changed, where you feel it's going from here after the big move.
I mean, I think it's a really legitimate concern. and I say it from being here and having to figure it out in the moment. Um, I, if somebody has like a really great career going and they don't have a company to transfer with to bring them to a new place, I don't want to discourage anybody. I just want to, just to be honest that
Unless
it's
they have like a
difficult.
trust fund or something.
Exactly. Yeah, that was my next thing. It's like if you have
Right.
if you have money that appears magically in your account every month, or in my case, I, I
Yeah.
I knew coming into this that I was going to be, um, downshifting in my career. Right. I am off the track.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure I could try to build a new empire here, but it is just it's and it's not even
Yeah.
exactly what I want. I think you have to be prepared to shift, and part of it was me wanting to take the opportunity to do freelance work and to try different projects. So you have to be really open minded. That um, yeah, like I said, I mean, one thing that's really stood out to me is if you because we're from the United States, right? We have this feeling like you could arrive, you could move from another country to the U.S. And as long as you speak the language well enough, there's opportunity there for you. You can find a way. It may not be the same professional path you were on, but you're going to be able to find your way there. Here, it really feels, like I said, that everybody has, before you got here, filled in all the blanks, followed the system to get where they were. And I don't want to insult anybody by being like, hey, but I'm here. And they're like, no, I took the path. I went to the right university. I got the right, certifications. So that's something I don't think I was expecting as much, but it makes total sense now
Got
that
it.
I'm here.
Yeah. 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 So you have to sort of respect where everyone else is coming from and then find your professional place within that setting, it sounds like.
Yeah. And for me, it does work out much better to continue working with the US. I have an overlap, from
Mhm.
like in California, most people are in California from 9 a.m. to noon Pacific Standard Time. I'm able to, take
Mhm.
calls over here. It's the evening for me. Take calls and connect with people, and then I have the rest of my day, which is beneficial because I do like being ahead of time. Right, I'm 9 hours ahead of California, so I do
Yeah.
like um, people starting work with something I've completed for them or something I need reviewed. So the timing
Right.
has worked out fine.
I would like that too cuz you can have the whole day to like get ready for the call. That's kind of a bonus. So I'm also curious to know about I know that you're really into fashion as well as I'm really into fashion and style and personal style and everything like that. And so I'm really curious to know what it's like over there. What are your impressions? I know it's not Paris, so it's like it's not quite as metropolitan or whatever. So I'm curious what the style is like over there.
So it's funny because you're right. It's not Paris. I think Paris is just a world of its own. And I came here maybe with the expectation
Yeah.
like I have to have my fashion game up for Paris, and it's not like that at all
Yeah.
here in Strasbourg. And in fact,
You don't yeah.
it's very laid back. It's I was telling a friend recently, I'm like, I feel like it's kind of the Oakland Berkeley of France. Like somehow I managed to
Really?
leave the Oakland Berkeley. Yes. So I don't see a lot of it on the streets. No, it's pretty casual here. Although if I went and I will soon
Oh,
to Paris, I know it will be much different there.
right, you're gonna probably be spending a little time thinking about what to pack and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, every country has its own, sort of, I don't know, suburbs. I don't know if you I don't think it's a suburb necessarily, but I don't know how you would categorize Strasbourg.
it's just like a smaller town, which makes it great for us because I do think a city like Paris, well, I love it, would be so overwhelming, right? This is definitely a city, but it's a
Yeah.
walking
Yeah.
city. We can get to the historic center, you know, in 15 minutes, 20 minutes, like walking or jump on our bike and be there in half the time. So it isn't a huge town. So um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like size wise, like maybe like a Sacramento, something, right? Like it's a city,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it doesn't feel huge. It's easy to get around.
Got it. It seems like a really good place to move to as like a, moving to a new country. Like it would be less overwhelming than Paris. I mean, Paris would be obviously super exciting, but it would also be so busy and so overwhelming. I don't know. I feel like my mom, when my mom used to come to visit me in San Francisco, she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, it's so busy. It's so busy everywhere." And I feel like that's me now. Like when I go into the city, or if I went to Berkeley. We looked at a house in Berkeley and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, it feels really urban and busy and there's so
Mm-hmm.
much traffic." And I've just gone to that other side where I'm like, so if I feel like if you're maybe a little bit older and you have a family, that might be a good size city to start with, sort of. Would you agree?
I agree with you. I think the pace is really nice. The downside is in a smaller town, they don't speak English as much. And
Oh,
because I've
right.
traveled to big cities like Paris in the past, somehow had managed to always communicate well.
Yes.
Um, and like I was saying, that I should not have expected that coming here. But I was surprised how little English people speak. In fact, because we're on the
Oh, wow.
border with Germany, most people speak French and German here. And I know absolutely
Right.
nothing about German at all.
Oh my God.
So, one of the great surprises of this whole thing is even though I have, you know, been with my husband for 20 years, and I knew he minored in French in college, and I knew he'd come here for two summers to study French, and we're still paying the student loan on those study abroad things. He just blew me away with his French because I thought, wow, this would have been
Wow.
so much harder if he hadn't been able to talk to the landlord, right, on our first tour,
Right.
or to help get the internet set up, or to even go to the grocery store and buy things. How to learn how to accept an Amazon delivery. So
Wow.
that was a wonderful surprise because I hadn't, he never needed speak French much. And all of a sudden, I look at him like, this is incredible.
That's very impressive because I mean, I minored in French too, but I don't really think I could communicate. I mean, hopefully I would surprise myself, but I mean, we have visited France and I can like order from the menu and stuff, but like that's impressive that he's like remembering it, after so many years.
And I think too, when you are faced with, you have to, right?
Yeah. It's
There
a
are some things
necessity. Yeah.
we just have to. I was scared at first to leave the apartment without him because I just thought
Yeah.
anything could happen to me out there, right? Something I
Right.
might need something. And I can't speak to anybody, and it actually took me a little bit of time to be brave enough to go outside on my own. And then
Wow.
things happen. You know, somebody approaches me and maybe asks me a question, and I have to, you know, tell them sorry, I don't speak French well. Yeah, I you just have to figure it out.
You
So,
just
you
like
know,
muddle
I'm sure
through,
you would do
right?
great if you were living. Yes,
Yeah.
you
But
do. I
so
even
but so
had
are
to,
you
even tiny interactions, you know, have been kind of humorous. Like, for example, there was a woman and the wind caught her bus ticket, and we were kind of chasing it together, stomping, like
Oh,
trying to get it before it blew into the street. And when she got
yeah.
it, you know, in the US, I would have said, we did it or something, but I'm just looking for these words. What do I say after this moment?
Like,
And I was given a lot of just
yay, or
thumbs
I
up
don't know.
for a while, like,
Yeah. That's so
yeah,
funny.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to just use, like, hand signals, I guess, at that point and hope that they translate the same way. Because I know thumbs up for my husband in Iran, that
oh no, you're
basically
right.
is the same as, like, middle finger.
Yes,
So, yeah, it's
no,
like
you're
you have to be
right.
careful.
I didn't even think of that.
That's funny,
Who knows
yeah.
what I've done
I
out there,
think
Kristen?
in France, it's probably the same, though. Thumbs up is probably positive, I think.
I hope so. She didn't seem upset.
I she didn't seem
I think
offended
she
or
understood
anything.
what I was trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Along that line, um, I've found that people have been so kind about trying to communicate with me when I tell them I don't speak. At the beginning, I'd say I don't speak. Now I say I don't speak well because I do want to try and I want to practice with people. And and they'll say, "Oh, I know a little bit," and then of course it's like just worlds better than me speaking French at all. And so I'm always
Yeah.
appreciative. But I was a little surprised that people have been so kind about me dropping into their world clueless.
That's so nice. I mean, and that's also probably the bonus of being in a smaller city because I feel like in Paris, people might be a little bit less patient. So, you know, it's probably a
Yeah,
nicer kind of a
it's like
I mean, people are can be kind anywhere, but, with the hustle and bustle and big city and everything, and the waiters are, like, notorious for being kind of rude and impatient.
yes,
Impatient, but then they take forever to bring the check.
yes, I know, I know. So I will give Strasbourg a shout out for the friendly people who put up with me not knowing what to do, and they've helped me and guided me along the way.
That's awesome. And it's a mountain town, isn't it? Isn't it a mountainous area?
So we are close to mountains, yes. Like I think, gosh, in the winter we maybe only had to go like 90 minutes to ski. So we are very
Oh,
close. It's
nice.
funny. I haven't been very far out because we've been on curfew. We're still on curfew here,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, we haven't traveled farther than we could walk once we got here to Strasbourg. So yeah, like we have a walking
Wow,
bridge
well,
into
so
Germany that I haven't been able to.
oh, wow. So what is the COVID situation there right now?
They are catching up here, thank goodness, because there was a point where it felt like everybody I knew in the US was vaccinated and we were still waiting here. It just felt
Oh,
very,
man.
very slow. And so they have extended the curfew, but it's 9 p.m. They only just this last week reintroduced outdoor dining, and the cafes opened. And that was exciting because it's like seeing the city in a whole new way, with people sitting out in the sun and having drinks. And we hadn't seen that
Oh
yet.
my
So
gosh.
that's new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Oh,
so
you're gonna
once
have such a
once we
fabulous
really got
summer.
I know, I'm so excited about it. There's just,
It's gonna
and
be
I
so
can't
great.
wait till we can, cross borders. I'm thinking about all these countries that are so nearby by train that
They're right there.
I want to show
Oh
grace
my
to them.
gosh, so exciting. That is really exciting. Oh my gosh. Gina, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's so exciting what you're doing and it's been so great talking to you about. I think it's really inspiring. I hope that you inspire others to do something similar. I mean, I just am wishing I hadn't just bought a house so we so we could do something like that. It just sounds dreamy. So where can people find
Thank
you?
you.
I know you have a blog, and you're on Instagram. So let us know what's your handle and what's your blog URL.
So I started a blog. It's just ginainfrance.com. And I did it as sort of a thank you to other Americans who had come here before me and inspired me and made me feel like it was absolutely possible for me to move here. So I'm hoping to pass that along and give any advice I can through my site. And then if you want to see a lot of pictures of my town that I love very much, it's beautiful. I'm at gina.in.france. So find me on Instagram there.
Wonderful. Thank you. It's so nice to see you. It's been a long time.
Me too.
Actually was going to mention I wore my shirt by Erin, who I know is a good friend of yours and a
Oh,
mutual friend of ours. I don't think she's doing her company anymore, is she? But I just felt like I had to wear this because of the association. So
yes. Oh my
is
gosh,
she
her coat. I have one of her. Yeah, she isn't
no, go ahead.
designing anymore. No, not right now. So the pieces that we did get were very exclusive, limited edition. So I
We're
made sure her
lucky.
jacket came with me here to France. Yes, this
Do you
beautiful
have the
pieces.
paint
She has so
splatter
much
one?
talent. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I have the one in black denim.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh,
Janine
I now
has the
I wish I
flower
had
one.
one of
It's
those.
so good.
Yes, I remember that.
Mhm.
She's lucky. You're both lucky. I didn't get one of those. I now I wish I would have. Oh well. Anyway, well, thank you so much. I know it's your evening there, so I will let you go have your evening with your family and thank you again so much for joining me today. It's been so interesting and fun.
Oh, it was so great. Thank you so much for asking me to do this with you, and so great to see you.